The last words she heard before it happened were not kind. "Kneel and say you're nothing without us," Madison hissed, her glossy nails pointing like little knives. Her brother, Ryan, stood behind her with his phone out, ready to record and laugh. Their little cousin Chloe clapped and cheered like it was a game. They had chased Ava through the glass hallway of the mansion and trapped her by the indoor pool, lights glimmering on the blue water like cold stars. The air smelled of chlorine and lemon polish. Ava's hands shook, but she lifted her chin. She was 23, a maid in the Thompson mansion, and she had kept quiet for months because she loved these children like family. But today the insults were sharper, the push was harder, the laughter louder. "Say it," Madison snapped again, "or you're fired. I'll tell Dad you stole." Ava's heart pounded. She had never stolen anything. She had never done any wrong. She worked from before sunrise to after sunset, and she smiled even when her feet ached. She wore her neat gray uniform and white sneakers and tied her soft, dark hair back in a bun. She kept her eyes kind even when words were not kind to her. She cooked for them. She washed their clothes. She told them bedtime stories from the old neighborhood when storms were loud. She prayed for them. She loved them. And for that love, she had swallowed the pain, believing they would grow out of this. But now Madison had a pair of scissors. She clicked the blades close to Ava's hair and Ryan laughed. "Make her ugly," he said. "Then she'll stop walking around like a princess." Ava stepped back, and her heel met empty air. The pool's edge was right behind her. She windmilled her arms, trying to catch balance, feeling the world tip and the water pulling her shadow. Chloe squealed, "Fall, fall." Ava's back touched nothing. Her toes clawed for grip on the smooth tile. She saw Madison's eyes widen. She saw Ryan's phone camera catch her fear. In that split breath, Ava understood something simple and heavy. Love is not silence when someone is hurt, even if the someone is you. Love is sometimes the loudest no. Her body tipped. Then she slammed her foot down and found edge and steadiness. She straightened. She faced them. Her voice came out calm from a deeper place than fear. "Enough." The word startled even her. It was small but solid. It came from all the nights she wiped tears in secret. It came from every time she heard, "You're too pretty for a maid," said like it was a crime. It came from the ache of hearing, "You don't belong here," in a house where she gave everything. It came from love, the kind that doesn't want to shame or destroy but refuses to allow harm to continue. Madison blinked. "What did you say?" "Enough," Ava repeated, and she steadied her hands. "No more bullying. Not from you. Not today. Not ever again." Ryan laughed, but his laugh broke in the middle like it tripped. "Or what? You'll cry to Dad." Ava looked at their faces, bright, young, dressed in wealth-like armor. Madison in a white tennis dress, Ryan in a designer hoodie and clean sneakers, Chloe in a glittery pink sweater with a gold bow. Their skin glowed under the skylight. They were children of a billionaire. But right now, they were also children who believed that power meant permission to be cruel. She would not call their father. She could have. She had many chances. But she had chosen silence for love. Now she would choose truth for love. "I'm not calling your father," Ava said. "I am calling you to be better." Madison scoffed and waved the scissors. "You don't get to call us anything." Ava took a slow breath. She was tired of being scared. She was tired of shrinking to make room for meanness. She kept her voice soft, like when she told bedtime stories. "Let me tell you a short story." "Not a story," Ryan groaned, rolling his eyes. "Just a short one," Ava said. "Once there was a beautiful bird who lived in a golden cage. Every day the owners of the cage threw crumbs at her and laughed when she sang. They called her foolish for singing. They said she should be quiet and small and ugly. But one day the bird stopped singing. The house felt empty. The laughter felt thin. The crumbs did not taste like kindness. And the owners looked at each other and realized they were the foolish ones. Because beauty is not a crime. Kindness is not weakness. And without kindness, even a golden cage is still a cage." Madison rolled her eyes so hard it looked like it hurt. "Are we done?" "No," Ava said gently, and she put out her hand. "Give me the scissors." "No." Madison snapped, pulling back. "You can't tell me what to do." Chloe, curious and easily swayed, reached for the scissors too. "Let me see." "Chloe, no," Madison said, jerking her hand. Chloe stumbled, bumped Ryan, and Ryan stepped into Ava, who shifted her weight to protect Chloe, and then, everything slid. The world turned into slippery tile, sharp gasps, and a hard splash. But it wasn't Ava who fell. Ryan's heel shot out from under him. His arms flew. His phone arced in a slow-motion rainbow and smacked the water. Ryan plunged into the pool with a shout that turned into a gargle. Chloe screamed. Madison jumped back with a shriek. Ryan's hands flapped at the surface, but he didn't know how to swim well without a float. Panic stole his breath. He sank once, twice, his eyes wide with shock. Ava didn't think. She moved. Shoes off. Phone tossed aside. A clear dive. Cold swallowed her. The water closed over her head with a boom in her ears. She opened her eyes to a blue blur in Ryan's kicking legs. She pushed down, strong and clean, hands reaching. She caught his wrist, then his shirt, and kicked hard, up, up, up. They broke the surface with a roar of sound, Chloe crying, Madison shouting, water slapping tile. Ryan coughed and choked and clung to Ava like a small child. I got you, she said, breathless but steady. It's okay. I got you. She half swam, half dragged him to the edge. Madison, hands shaking, dropped the scissors and reached down with Chloe. Together they pulled Ryan out. Water ran off him in a river. He coughed again and again and then lay on his side, shaking. His hoodie was heavy. His phone was gone. He looked small. He didn't look like a bully. He looked like a boy who had been scared and then saved. Ava climbed out, teeth chattering, hair now loose and wet around her shoulders. Madison stared at her like she had never seen her before. Chloe stopped crying and stood very still. What were you thinking? Madison blurted, but her voice was soft and messy now. You could've, he could've. Drowned? Ava said quietly. Yes. Ryan looked up at her, eyes red. You saved me. Of course, Ava said. I won't watch you fall. Not into water. Not into unkindness. Silence fell. The pool hummed. Somewhere in the far part of the house, a clock chimed the half hour. Ava stood there, dripping, heart racing, and felt a new thing enter the room. Then Madison's face hardened again,
not
like
shame,
a door slamming.
not pride.
She snatched
It
a
was the
towel
first
from the
small
bench and
crack of
threw it
light
at Ryan.
inside a locked door.
Get up. If you tell Dad you fell, I'll say she pushed you. Ava's stomach dropped. The old fear tried to come back. She had saved him, and still the knife of a lie flashed in the air. She remembered the last time Madison had lied to their father about her. She remembered the cold way Mr. Thompson stared over his glasses and said, "We'll look into it." He was busy. He loved his children. He hired managers to handle the house. He tried to be fair. But he trusted his children first, and Ava had chosen silence then. Not today. Ava knelt by Ryan. Tell the truth, she said softly. It matters. Ryan looked at his sister and then at Ava. His lips trembled. He was not cruel at his core. He was a boy who followed the strongest voice in the room. For months, that voice had been Madison's. Ava didn't want to destroy Madison. She wanted to guide her. But guiding was not the same as obeying harm. Ava stood and turned to the wall. The indoor pool had a control panel for the skylight shades, music, and, Ava knew this from weeks of careful cleaning, an intercom to the main house. A small button with a small microphone icon. The intercom did not call Mr. Thompson alone. It called the whole house, the head of security, the chef, the house manager, and anyone near a speaker. A truth button, she had secretly named it. She had never pressed it. She pressed it. A soft tone pinged, and then the tiny red light glowed. The speaker near the ceiling clicked alive, waiting. Madison's eyes went wide. Don't you dare. Ava looked at her, wet hair dripping down her cheeks like narrow rivers. I won't tell on you to hurt you, she said. I will tell the truth to help you. She lifted her chin to the speaker. This is Ava by the pool. I need everyone's ears for a moment. Her voice shook once, then found the same calm place as before. There has been bullying in this house. It has been going on for months. I did not speak before because I love these children. But I will speak now because I love them. The words left her mouth and hung in the warm, wet air. Somewhere, a door opened in the hallway. Footsteps started. The head of security would come. The house manager would come. Maybe the chef would peek in with flour on his apron. Maybe Mr. Thompson, working from the study today, would hear the intercom and listen. Madison gasped. Turn it off. Ava did not. She kept speaking, steady and clear, simple like she was telling a child how to tie a shoe. Today Ryan fell into the pool. I jumped in and pulled him out. He's okay. I did not push him. I would never push any of them. I will never hurt them. But I will not let hurt continue. I am asking for help to end it the right way. The hallway footsteps drew closer, louder now. Ryan sat up, clutching the towel, eyes moving from Ava to his sister. Chloe backed toward the bench as if trying to turn into a very small, very quiet statue. You think this is brave? Madison said, but her voice trembled. You think Dad will believe you? I think adults need to know, Ava said. And I think you need to hear yourself when you tell the story out loud. Madison pressed her hands to her head like it ached. You don't understand? Then make me understand, Ava said gently. But not with fear. With truth. The door swung open and Mr. Thompson himself stepped in, no suit jacket, just a crisp shirt with sleeves rolled, a laptop still open in his hand. He had heard the intercom. His eyes swept the room, Ava soaked, Ryan shaking, Madison pale, Chloe still as a photograph, and something fierce and worried flashed across his face. Behind him came the house manager, Miss Patel, and the head of security, Jonah. Mr. Thompson looked at the red light on the speaker, then at Ava. What happened? Madison opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Ryan pulled his towel tighter. Chloe leaned into the bench. Ava's heart hammered, but she stood tall. She had promised herself, love with truth. Sir, Ava said, her voice clear, I'm going to tell you everything. Mr. Thompson set his laptop down on the counter and walked closer, slow and careful, like he was approaching a wild animal that might run. All right, he said. I'm listening. The room held its breath. Ava felt time slow, like the seconds were fat and heavy. She could see her reflection shaking in the pool water. She could see Madison's hands twist. She could see Ryan's lips open on words he wasn't sure he had. Ava knew that what she would say next would change everything in this house. It could end the bullying the wrong way, by crushing the children with punishment and shame. Or it could end it the right way by teaching them a new path. She had an action in mind, simple but strong, a plan she had carried like a small flame in her pocket for weeks, waiting, hoping she would never need it. But the day had come. She would light it now, in front of everyone, for the sake of the children she loved. She took a breath to begin. And the pool alarm blared, a sharp wolf cry of sound. The water sensors had detected a fallen object, the phone still sinking to the bottom, and the system went into safety mode. The skylight shade slid shut. The room dimmed. Red safety lights began to pulse. Chloe screamed and covered her ears. Ryan flinched. Madison grabbed the counter. Mr. Thompson looked up in surprise as the emergency message flashed on the wall screen. Object in pool. Safety protocol activated. Ava turned toward the water. On the blue floor, the rectangle of Ryan's phone blinked one last weak light and then went dark. The alarm kept wailing. The head of security moved toward the control box to switch it off. Mr. Thompson raised a hand, confused and tense. What triggered? And in that tight, strobing red light, with the alarm howling and every heart thudding, Ava knew this was the moment she had to step fully into the action she had kept quiet for so long. The plan that would end the bullying, not by hiding, not by hurting, but by bringing a new rule to this house. She reached for the intercom again, and with every adult's eyes on her and every child's future sitting fragile in the air, she said, voice steady and loud enough to carry through every speaker in the mansion. Everyone in the house, please come to the pool room in 5 minutes. We are starting the kindness court. The alarm screamed. The red light flashed. Mr. Thompson stared. Madison's mouth fell open. Ryan froze. Chloe whispered, what's a kindness court? Ava lifted her chin. You'll find out. Where are you watching from? Drop your city/country in the comments so I can shout you out in the next chapter. If you're feeling the story, please like, subscribe and share so more people can learn from it. Your support helps me keep telling these modern folktales. The alarm finally quieted, but the echo of its howl still rattled the walls. The red safety lights blinked, bathing the faces in a strange glow. Everyone looked unsettled, especially Madison. She stood with her arms crossed, trying to look tough, but her fingers tapped nervously against her elbow. Ryan sat on the floor wrapped in his towel, shivering not from the cold but from the weight of everything that just happened. Chloe clung to the bench, her wide eyes flicking from Ava to her uncle, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson broke the silence first. His voice was deep and controlled, the kind of voice people listen to. Ava, he said slowly, what exactly do you mean by kindness court? Ava, still dripping, hair hanging in wet strands around her face, turned to him. Her heart raced, but she forced herself to breathe. This was her chance, not just to defend herself but to change everything. Sir, she said carefully, I mean a time and place where truth is spoken openly, where kindness is measured and where we make decisions together. I can't keep hiding what has been happening. And I can't let these children believe cruelty is strength. If we love them, we need to teach them differently. Right here. Right now. The room buzzed with quiet tension. Jonah, the head of security, frowned in confusion, while Miss Patel, the house manager, tilted her head, studying Ava with thoughtful eyes. Mr. Thompson said nothing for a moment, just tapped the edge of the counter with his finger as though weighing his options. Madison scoffed, breaking the silence. This is ridiculous. She's just a maid, Dad. She's trying to make herself important. But Ava didn't flinch. Instead, she walked calmly to the center of the room, water still dripping from her uniform. She stood tall and looked Madison straight in the eye. It's not about me. It's about all of us. You think kindness is weakness. You think beauty is a crime. You think lies protect you. But those things only hurt you, Madison. And they hurt everyone else too. Today that almost cost your brother his life. Ryan lowered his gaze. His hands tightened on the towel. Chloe whispered again, "What's a kindness court?" Ava knelt in front of Chloe, softening her voice. "It's a circle where everyone has to tell the truth, where everyone listens and where kindness wins. No one leaves until we understand each other. And when we're done, we make a promise that we'll live differently." Chloe blinked and, to everyone's surprise, nodded slowly as if she liked the idea. Madison, however, threw her hands up. "Dad, don't listen to her. She's manipulating everyone. She's going to twist the story to make us look bad." But Mr. Thompson's eyes had changed. He was no longer just annoyed by the chaos, he was concerned. He had seen the fear in Ryan's eyes, the way Chloe clung to the bench, the wet scissors lying forgotten on the floor. He had heard Ava's voice over the intercom, steady and brave. He knew she had risked her own safety to save his son. Finally he said, "All right. 5 minutes. If you're calling this kindness court, Ava, I'll allow it. But I want to hear everything. From everyone." Madison's jaw dropped. "What? Dad?" "Enough," Mr. Thompson cut in, his voice firm. "You heard me." For the first time Madison went silent. 5 minutes later the pool room filled with people. The chef still wore his flour-dusted apron, the gardeners came in with mud on their boots, and the other maids gathered with wide eyes, curious and worried. The staff had worked in silence for years, rarely speaking beyond their duties, but now they stood shoulder to shoulder, forming a circle around the children and their father. Ava raised her chin. She had never led a group this way before, but something inside her said it was time. "Thank you for coming," she began, her voice carrying across the water. "We are here for truth. We are here for kindness. This is not about punishing. It's about healing. We'll speak one by one. No shouting, no lies. Everyone must be heard." The staff nodded quietly. Ryan shifted nervously, Chloe leaned into her cousin, and Madison glared like a storm cloud. "Madison," Ava said gently, "you can start. Tell us why you feel the need to treat me this way." Madison's face burned red. "This is so stupid." "Tell the truth," Mr. Thompson said sharply. His voice cut like steel. Madison froze. Her lips quivered. For the first time her confidence cracked. Finally she blurted, because she's prettier than me, okay? Everyone always says it. Even my friends say, 'Wow, your maid looks like a model.' And I hate it. I hate how she smiles and how people notice her. She's just the maid. She's not supposed to shine." Gasps rippled through the staff. Miss Patel shook her head slowly. Jonah crossed his arms. Mr. Thompson closed his eyes briefly as though pained by the confession. Ava's chest tightened, but she didn't raise her voice. "Thank you for telling the truth," she said softly. "But Madison, my beauty is not meant to hurt you. It doesn't take anything away from yours. I've never wanted to compete with you. I've wanted to love you like a sister." Madison blinked, her throat tightening, but she quickly turned away. "Whatever." Ava turned to Ryan. "And you?" Ryan looked miserable. I just went along with Madison. I didn't want her to be mad at me. But it got worse and worse. And today, I thought it was funny until I was drowning. And you saved me." His voice cracked. "I'm sorry, Ava." Tears stung Ava's eyes, but she smiled. "Thank you for being brave enough to say that." Finally, Ava looked at Chloe. "And you?" Chloe kicked her little shoes against the bench. "I don't know. I just thought it was a game. But I don't like when Ryan almost died. It wasn't fun anymore." Ava stroked her hair gently. "Kindness is always more fun, Chloe. Games are better when everyone laughs together." The circle went silent again. Everyone looked at Mr. Thompson. His face was grave, lined with disappointment and something heavier, regret. He turned slowly to his children. "You have hurt someone who has given everything for you," he said. "You have embarrassed this house. And worst of all, you have forgotten what it means to be human. Money does not excuse cruelty. Beauty is not your enemy. And Ava is not your rival, she is family." His voice deepened. "From this day the bullying ends. And if it does not, there will be consequences you will not enjoy." Madison flinched. Ryan nodded quickly. Chloe hid her face. Then Mr. Thompson turned to Ava. And you, Ava, you showed more courage today than many adults I know. You risked your life to save my son. You spoke truth when it was hardest. For that, you have my respect. And more than that, you have my promise. In this house, your voice will be heard. A hush fell. Ava bowed her head slightly. Thank you, sir. But just as relief began to settle in, just as the circle felt ready to close with new peace, Madison's voice cut through the quiet, sharp and trembling. You think this is over? She snapped. Her eyes burned with something wild. She's turning you all against me. She's trying to take my place. And I won't let her. Before anyone could react, Madison lunged toward the pool edge. With a sudden, shocking motion, she scooped up the fallen scissors from the floor and held them out. Not toward Ava this time, but toward herself. Gasps erupted. Chloe screamed. Ryan jumped up. Mr. Thompson roared, Madison. The scissors glinted in the light, shaking in her trembling hands. Madison's voice cracked with raw pain. If everyone loves her so much, then what's the point of me? The room froze, fear rushing like ice through every heart. Ava's chest squeezed tight. She had expected anger, denial, but not this. This was deeper. This was brokenness, hidden under all the cruelty. Everyone held their breath. The next words or actions could change everything. Ava stepped forward, her voice breaking but steady enough to reach Madison's ears. Madison, put them down. Please. But Madison's fingers tightened, her tears falling hot and fast. No. And just like that, the kindness court became something much more dangerous. Where are you watching from? Drop your city/country in the comments. I'd love to know where my story is reaching. If this story has your heart racing, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. More twists are coming. Madison, stop. Mr. Thompson's voice thundered through the room, his usually calm authority breaking into pure fear. He had never seen his daughter like this, trembling, cornered, holding scissors as if they were her last weapon against a world she didn't understand. The entire staff froze. No one dared to move. Even Ryan, who had just moments ago apologized, stood stiff as a statue. Chloe began to cry, her tiny hands covering her ears. Ava's heart pounded, but she forced herself to step forward. She lifted both her hands slowly, palms open, her voice calm and steady like water smoothing over sharp stones. Madison, look at me. Not at them, not at your father. Look at me. Madison's watery eyes flicked up, and for the first time her tough mask cracked fully. Beneath the arrogance and cruelty was something else, deep fear. Fear of being replaced. Fear of being unseen. Fear that her beauty wasn't enough, that her father's love wasn't enough, that her place in the world was fragile. You don't understand, Madison whispered, her voice shaking. Everyone looks at you, Ava. Everyone talks about you. I hear the staff. I hear my friends. Even strangers notice you. And I'm just me. What if I'm nothing without this house? Without Dad's money? What if no one ever loves me? The words stunned the room. For months, Ava had endured insults, pranks, and cruel laughter. She had thought it was all out of hatred. But now she heard the truth. The bullying was born from insecurity, not power. Ava's throat tightened, but she refused to cry. This was the moment her silence, her patience, her choice to love them despite their cruelty, it all came together. She stepped even closer, her voice low but full of warmth. Madison, you are not nothing. You are more than money, more than clothes, more than how people look at me or anyone else. You are strong, you are smart, and you are loved by your father, by your brother, by your cousin, by me. But you have to let yourself believe it. Hurting me won't make you shine brighter. It will only make your light dimmer. Madison's grip on the scissors trembled. Her knuckles turned white. I don't believe you. I know you don't, Ava said softly, not yet. But I believe it enough for both of us. And I will keep believing it until you do. She stretched out her hand, her palm steady, her wet hair clinging to her face. Give me the scissors, Madison. Please. Don't let this moment be the one you regret for the rest of your life. Ryan suddenly spoke up, his voice cracking. Madison, she saved me. I almost died and she didn't even hesitate. Don't you see? She's not against us. She's with us. Chloe, through her tears, added in a small voice, Please don't hurt yourself, Maddie. I don't want you to go away. The circle of staff murmured, some quietly praying, others holding their breath. Mr. Thompson's face was etched with anguish. He wanted to rush forward, but Jonah, the head of security, gently held his arm. One wrong move and Madison might slip. The room felt like it balanced on the tip of a blade. 1 second could change everything. Madison's tears spilled freely now, dripping onto her white tennis dress. Her chest rose and fell in ragged gasps. For the first time she looked not like a spoiled heiress but like a scared girl desperate to be seen. Her hand shook, then lowered, slowly, trembling as though it weighed 1,000 pounds. She placed the scissors in Ava's open hand. Gasps of relief filled the room. Chloe sobbed harder, but this time with relief. Ryan slumped to the floor, covering his face with his hands. Mr. Thompson rushed forward and wrapped Madison in his arms, pulling her close, his own tears falling onto her hair. "My baby," he whispered fiercely. "Don't you ever say you are nothing. You are my daughter. You are everything to me. And nothing will ever change that." Madison collapsed against him, crying like a child. The scissors clattered harmlessly to the floor. Ava stepped back, her own hands trembling now that the danger was over. Her chest heaved, but she kept silent. This was not her moment to speak. It was Madison's and her father's. But in the eyes of the staff, Ava saw something shift. Respect. Gratitude. They had seen her not just as a maid, but as a protector, a healer, a voice of courage in the darkest moment. And yet, Ava knew this was not the end. A storm had only just begun. Because though Madison had let go of the scissors, she had not yet let go of her pride. The seeds of change had been planted, but would they grow or would the weeds of jealousy return? As Mr. Thompson held his daughter, his gaze flicked up and landed on Ava. Their eyes met and unspoken words passed between them. "We are not done here. There is more to uncover." And just then Jonah's walkie-talkie crackled to life. "Sir," a guard's voice said urgently, "we have a situation at the front gate. There's a crowd. Reporters. Somehow they found out what's happening inside." Mr. Thompson stiffened. Madison's head jerked up, panic flashing in her eyes. Ryan groaned, "Not the media." The staff exchanged worried glances. Chloe clutched Ava's arm. Reporters. Cameras. Headlines. The truth was about to spill far beyond the mansion walls. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. If you're feeling the suspense, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. This story is only getting deeper. The buzz of the walkie-talkie left the room in thick silence. Reporters. Cameras. The words felt like thunder rolling in from the horizon. Madison stiffened in her father's arms, her tear-streaked face paling. Ryan muttered under his breath, "They're going to destroy us." Chloe clung tighter to Ava's damp uniform, burying her face. Mr. Thompson's jaw tightened. He was a billionaire, he had handled business scandals, lawsuits, betrayals and boardrooms. But this was different. This was his home. His children. His maid. And if the reporters outside caught even a glimpse of what had just happened, the world would chew them up and spit them out with headlines full of venom. "Jonah," he said firmly, "contain the front gate. No one comes in. No one gets a picture. Not yet." "Yes, sir," Jonah replied, already moving toward the door. But Ava stepped forward. Her voice, still trembling from the intensity of what had just happened, cut through the air. "Sir, maybe this is the chance." Every head turned to her. Madison's eyes flashed. "What? Are you crazy? You want everyone to know what happened here? Her voice broke. That I almost." Ava shook her head softly. "No. I don't want anyone to know the pain. But maybe they should know the lesson. We've been hiding the truth behind walls for too long. If we only silence this moment, it will repeat again. But if we face it, bravely, with honesty, maybe the world learns what we're learning here, that kindness is stronger than cruelty and love is stronger than pride." Mr. Thompson studied her, his brow furrowed. For a long moment he said nothing. The only sound was the drip of pool water from Ava's clothes hitting the tile. Then Madison burst out, "You don't understand how it works. They'll twist everything. They'll make me look like a monster. They'll laugh at me at school, online, everywhere. I'll never live it down." Her fear was real, raw. And Ava couldn't ignore it. She turned to Madison, kneeling so they were eye level. "Madison, I don't want the world to laugh at you. I want the world to see a girl who was brave enough to change. A girl who admitted her mistakes and chose a different path. That kind of story doesn't destroy you, it saves you." Madison stared at her, lips trembling, eyes searching Ava's face for some hint of a lie. But Ava's gaze held steady, soft yet unyielding. Ryan swallowed hard. "She's right. If this leaks the wrong way, we're done. But if we tell it ourselves?" He glanced at his father. "Dad, you always say control the story before it controls you." Mr. Thompson's expression shifted, slowly, like clouds parting for light. "Yes," he murmured. "Control the story before it controls you. He looked back at Ava, truly seeing her now not just as a maid but as someone with wisdom, courage, and vision. "All right," he said finally. "We'll face them. Together." The staff gasped. Madison's mouth fell open. "What? No, Dad, no." "It's decided," he said firmly. "We go to the front gate. We speak honestly. And we turn this into something greater than shame." The circle broke, the staff moving in nervous clusters. Jonah spoke quietly into his radio, adjusting the security protocol. Mr. Thompson took Madison by the shoulders and looked her in the eye. "I won't force you to speak, Madison. But if you do, speak truth. That's the only way forward." Her lips pressed into a thin line. She looked like she wanted to argue, but no words came out. Instead, she brushed angrily at her tears and followed him. Ryan walked with his head low, still shaken but determined. Chloe clung to Ava's hand, whispering, "Will they be mad at us?" Ava squeezed her hand gently. "No, Chloe. They'll be listening." The group made their way through the long hallways of the mansion. The golden chandeliers, the marble floors, the expensive paintings, all the signs of wealth, suddenly felt small compared to the weight of what was about to happen outside those gates. When they reached the massive front doors, the noise hit them first. Shouts. Camera clicks. The hum of drones buzzing overhead. The iron gates at the end of the long driveway were swarmed with reporters, microphones thrust between the bars, flashes popping like lightning. Mr. Thompson paused at the threshold. His children stood beside him, Ava just behind. The staff lingered further back, their faces pale with worry. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. Ava nodded once. Madison hesitated, but Ryan placed a hand on her arm, steadying her. She didn't pull away. Together they stepped outside. The reporters erupted instantly. "Mr. Thompson, is it true your son nearly drowned? Who's the maid with you? What's her role in this? Madison, did you attack her? Are the rumors true? Is this the scandal that will shake the Thompson empire?" The noise was deafening. Cameras zoomed. Drones hovered closer. The children flinched under the spotlight, their every fear of humiliation flashing into reality. And then Ava stepped forward. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't hide behind anyone. She lifted her chin, her wet uniform clinging to her like a badge of truth, and raised her hand for silence. To everyone's surprise, the noise actually quieted. There was something in her presence, drenched, trembling, yet fearless, that commanded attention. "My name is Ava," she said clearly, her voice carrying across the chaos. "Yes, I am the maid in this house. And yes, something happened today. But this is not a story about drowning or about scandal or about shame. This is a story about kindness. About how children, no matter how rich or powerful, can lose their way, and how love can bring them back." Reporters froze, pens poised. Cameras zoomed closer. Madison stiffened, her breath caught in her throat. Ryan stared at Ava in awe. Mr. Thompson's eyes glistened with something like pride. Ava continued, steady as a drumbeat. "I won't give you gossip. I will give you truth. And the truth is simple: bullying ends here. Cruelty ends here. Kindness begins here. And that's all you need to write." For a moment the crowd actually stilled. The noise, the chaos, the flashing lights, all of it dimmed under her words. It was like the world itself paused to listen. But then, from the back of the crowd, a voice shouted, "If that's true, prove it. Let's hear it from the children themselves." All eyes snapped to Madison. Her face drained of color. Her hands trembled. She looked at Ava, at her father, at Ryan, at Chloe. The world was waiting. And her next words would either save her, or ruin her forever. She swallowed hard, her lips parting. And then she spoke. "Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. And if this chapter had you on edge, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. The real twist is just beginning." The cameras zoomed in so close Madison could almost see her reflection in the glass lenses. The flashbulbs blinked, and every reporter leaned forward, microphones raised. Her chest rose and fell fast, her throat tight as though words were stones lodged inside. Her father's hand squeezed her shoulder. Ryan stood close, whispering just loud enough, "Maddie, just be honest." But honesty felt like a cliff. If she told the truth, the world would know she had bullied her maid out of jealousy. Every cruel prank, every sharp insult, every laugh at Ava's expense would be out there for the world to see. Her friends at school would mock her. Social media would roast her alive. The billionaire's daughter turned villain. She could lie. She could twist it. She had done it before. One story to her father, one tear, and Ava had taken the blame. But now, the world was watching. Ava was watching. And for the first time, Madison remembered the moment by the pool, the way Ava's arms had reached out, steady and warm, as she begged her to hand over the scissors. Ava hadn't judged her then. She hadn't shamed her. She had only offered love. Tears burned Madison's eyes. She lifted the microphone from the cluster in front of her. Her voice cracked as she said, "It's true. I bullied Ava." The crowd gasped. Reporters nearly tripped over each other to get closer. Chloe clutched Ava's hand, Ryan's jaw dropped, and even Mr. Thompson's stern composure cracked in shock. Madison continued, her words tumbling out now like a flood. "I was jealous. I was angry. Everyone always noticed her beauty, her kindness, her smile, and I hated it. I hated how small it made me feel. So I made her small instead. I mocked her. I scared her. I made her cry." Her voice broke and she pressed her trembling hand to her face. "And I thought it made me strong. But it didn't. It made me a coward." The air grew heavy. The only sound was the clicking of cameras. Some reporters softened, lowering their mics, sensing this was no scandal to exploit but a confession raw and unpolished. Madison dropped her hand, her eyes shining with tears. "I almost lost my brother today because of my pride. And I almost lost myself. Ava. I'm sorry." The words cracked something open. Ava's eyes welled, but she smiled softly, shaking her head. She stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on Madison's shoulder. "I forgive you." The reporter's murmurs swelled, but Ava wasn't finished. She turned back to the crowd. "This isn't a story about cruelty. It's a story about change. If a child can admit her mistakes, then maybe we all can. Because kindness is the only legacy that lasts." The crowd erupted into applause, not all of them but enough. A few clapped slowly, others shouted questions, but the energy had shifted. This wasn't scandal anymore. It was redemption. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, his voice booming now. "This is my family. And this is the lesson we stand by. Money doesn't excuse cruelty. Power doesn't excuse pride. In this house we are choosing kindness. And that's the only headline that matters." The staff, standing behind them on the porch, exchanged looks of pride. Jonah gave a small nod. Miss Patel dabbed her eyes with her handkerchief. Even the chef, flour still streaked on his apron, clapped his hands once, firmly. But not everyone in the crowd was moved. A sharp voice cut through. "Mr. Thompson, are you saying your daughter bullied the help? Shouldn't there be consequences? Isn't this proof of a toxic household?" The cameras zoomed in so close Madison could almost see her reflection in the glass lenses. The flashbulbs blinked and every reporter leaned forward, microphones raised. Her chest rose and fell fast, her throat tight as though words were stones lodged inside. Her father's hand squeezed her shoulder. Ryan stood close, whispering just loud enough, "Maddie, just be honest." But honesty felt like a cliff. If she told the truth, the world would know she had bullied her maid out of jealousy. Every cruel prank, every sharp insult, every laugh at Ava's expense would be out there for the world to see. Her friends at school would mock her. Social media would roast her alive. The billionaire's daughter turned villain. She could lie. She could twist it. She had done it before. One story to her father, one tear, and Ava had taken the blame. But now, the world was watching. Ava was watching. And for the first time, Madison remembered the moment by the pool, the way Ava's arms had reached out, steady and warm, as she begged her to hand over the scissors. Ava hadn't judged her then. She hadn't shamed her. She had only offered love. Tears burned Madison's eyes. She lifted the microphone from the cluster in front of her. Her voice cracked as she said, "It's true. I bullied Ava." The crowd gasped. Reporters nearly tripped over each other to get closer. Chloe clutched Ava's hand, Ryan's jaw dropped, and even Mr. Thompson's stern composure cracked in shock. Madison continued, her words tumbling out now like a flood. "I was jealous. I was angry. Everyone always noticed her beauty, her kindness, her smile, and I hated it. I hated how small it made me feel. So I made her small instead. I mocked her. I scared her. I made her cry." Her voice broke and she pressed her trembling hand to her face. "And I thought it made me strong. But it didn't. It made me a coward." The air grew heavy. The only sound was the clicking of cameras. Some reporters softened, lowering their mics, sensing this was no scandal to exploit but a confession raw and unpolished. Madison dropped her hand, her eyes shining with tears. "I almost lost my brother today because of my pride. And I almost lost myself. Ava. I'm sorry." The words cracked something open. Ava's eyes welled, but she smiled softly, shaking her head. She stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on Madison's shoulder. "I forgive you." The reporter's murmurs swelled, but Ava wasn't finished. She turned back to the crowd. This isn't a story about cruelty. It's a story about change. If a child can admit her mistakes, then maybe we all can. Because kindness is the only legacy that lasts. The crowd erupted into applause, not all of them but enough. A few clapped slowly, others shouted questions, but the energy had shifted. This wasn't scandal anymore. It was redemption. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, his voice booming now. This is my family. And this is the lesson we stand by. Money doesn't excuse cruelty. Power doesn't excuse pride. In this house we are choosing kindness. And that's the only headline that matters. The staff, standing behind them on the porch, exchanged looks of pride. Jonah gave a small nod. Miss Patel dabbed her eyes with her handkerchief. Even the chef, flour still streaked on his apron, clapped his hands once, firmly. But not everyone in the crowd was moved. A sharp voice cut through. Mr. Thompson, are you saying your daughter bullied the help? Shouldn't there be consequences? Isn't this proof of a toxic household? The murmurs rippled again. Some cameras turned sharper, hungry for conflict. Madison shrank back, her fear rising. But Ava stepped forward once more. The consequence, she said clearly, is change. That's the hardest punishment of all. Madison will live differently now, not because she's forced, but because she chooses it. And I'll stand by her side to make sure of it. The boldness of her words silenced the crowd. Ava, dripping in her maid's uniform, hair messy and wet, didn't look like a victim. She looked like a leader. A heroine. The reporters began to shift. Their voices grew softer. The questions turned into comments. Powerful story. A maid teaching a billionaire's family kindness. Redemption inside a mansion. Mr. Thompson raised his hand, signaling the end of the press frenzy. That's all for today. Thank you. The gates closed slowly, shutting out the noise. As the family and staff turned back into the house, Madison whispered hoarsely to Ava, I don't deserve your forgiveness. Ava squeezed her hand. None of us ever deserve love. That's why it's a gift. Madison's tears returned, but this time they carried relief. For a moment, peace seemed to settle like sunlight on their shoulders. But just as they stepped inside, Jonah approached Mr. Thompson, his voice low but urgent. Sir, there's something you should know. The reporters weren't the first to hear. Someone inside this house leaked the story before it happened. They knew details only staff would know. Mr. Thompson's face darkened. Ava's heart skipped. Madison froze mid-step. A traitor inside the mansion. The peace shattered. The storm wasn't over. It had only begun. Where are you watching from? Drop your city/country in the comments. I love to know how far my stories travel. If this twist caught you off guard, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. The betrayal inside the mansion is just about to unfold. The words, someone inside the house leaked it, hung in the air like smoke no one could breathe through. Everyone froze in the grand entryway of the mansion. The marble floor gleamed under the chandelier, but there was no warmth in it now, only cold suspicion. Mr. Thompson's face hardened, his jaw clenching. Jonah, are you certain? Jonah nodded grimly. Yes, sir. The reporters had details that weren't public. They knew about the scissors. About the pool. That wasn't visible from outside. Someone on the inside spoke. Gasps rippled through the staff gathered in the background. The chef muttered a prayer under his breath. Ms. Patel's hands trembled as she clutched her clipboard. The other maids glanced at one another nervously, their eyes darting like trapped birds. Madison, still shaken from her confession outside, turned sharply. It has to be one of them. She pointed at the staff. They've hated me for months. They probably wanted revenge. Stop. Ava's voice cut across hers, firm but calm. This is not the time to accuse blindly. That will only spread more hurt. Madison scowled. So you're defending them now? I'm defending the truth, Ava said, steady as stone. Mr. Thompson raised a hand, silencing both of them. We'll get to the bottom of this. No one leaves this house until I know who betrayed my family. The room sank into tense silence. The staff shifted uneasily. Ryan leaned against the stair railing, his towel still draped around him like a forgotten shield. Chloe clung to Ava's side, whispering, I'm scared. Ava bent down and whispered back, Don't be. The truth always finds its way. Jonah cleared his throat. Sir, I've already started a sweep of the security footage. But whoever did this may have used their phone to send out information quickly before we reached the pool. Madison muttered bitterly, And who always has their phone out? The staff. Ryan frowned at her. You don't know that, Maddie? What if it was someone else? Madison spun toward him. Who else could it be? Ryan's eyes shifted uneasily. He remembered something. The way one of his so-called friends from school always seemed to text him at the exact wrong moments, already knowing family business. His stomach tightened. But before he could speak, Miss Patel, the house manager, raised her hand. Her voice was quiet but steady. Sir, if I may, before we accuse anyone, perhaps we should hold another kindness court. The first one revealed truths no one expected. Maybe the next will reveal this. Ava's head turned sharply. The words kindness court sounded different now, heavier, riskier. But maybe Miss Patel was right. Mr. Thompson considered it. He looked at his children, at Madison's tear-streaked face, at Ryan's nervous frown, at Chloe's trembling hand in Ava's. Then he looked at the staff, each one pale with fear of being blamed. Finally he said, "Very well. Tonight in the main hall we will hold the kindness court again. And no one leaves until the betrayer speaks." The announcement sent a shiver through everyone. The staff shifted uncomfortably. Madison folded her arms, as though eager to see one of them exposed. Ryan bit his lip. Chloe whispered, "What if no one tells the truth?" Ava placed her hand gently on Chloe's hair. The truth has a way of speaking even when people don't want it to. That night, the main hall transformed. Chairs were arranged in a wide circle beneath the massive chandelier. Every member of the household, family and staff, took a seat. The air felt thick, heavy with suspicion and fear. Outside, the moon cast long silver shadows across the marble floor. Mr. Thompson sat at the head of the circle, his face unreadable. Ava sat across from him, her posture calm but her heart racing. Madison sat stiffly, arms folded, glaring at the staff as though daring one of them to speak. Ryan sat beside her, restless, guilt gnawing at his face. Chloe curled up between Ava and her father, her eyes wide. Ava was the first to stand. "We are here for truth," she said softly, her voice carrying in the hush. "Not to destroy one another but to find what was broken and fix it. Whoever leaked the story, please understand it doesn't only hurt Mr. Thompson. It doesn't only hurt the children. It hurts all of us. The staff's jobs, the family's name, even the safety of this house." She paused, letting the words sink in. "But if you confess, there is still a chance for healing." Silence followed. Long, heavy silence. Then Madison jumped to her feet, pointing at one of the younger maids, a timid girl no older than 19. It was her. "She's always sneaking her phone. I've seen her whispering in the hallway." The girl shook her head violently, tears springing to her eyes. "No. I swear it wasn't me. I would never." "Liar." Madison snapped. "Enough." Mr. Thompson barked, his voice echoing off the marble walls. Madison fell silent, though her glare remained. Ava stepped toward the maid, her voice gentle. "If it wasn't you, then trust that the truth will protect you. Don't be afraid." The girl sobbed softly but nodded. And then, in the corner of the room, Ryan spoke up. His voice was quiet, almost too quiet. "What if it wasn't the staff at all?" Every head turned to him. Madison's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Ryan swallowed hard, his throat dry. He clenched his fists. "What if it was me?" Gasps filled the hall. Madison's mouth fell open. Mr. Thompson's face darkened, his voice a low rumble. "Ryan, explain yourself." Ryan's eyes filled with tears. He stood shakily, his towel long since replaced with dry clothes, but his guilt clung to him heavier than water ever could. "I didn't mean for it to get this far. But one of my friends kept asking me for inside stories about the house. He said it was just for laughs, just between us. I thought it was harmless. So I told him things, little things at first. But then today, I texted him about Madison with the scissors. I didn't think he'd tell anyone else. I didn't know it would spread." The room exploded in shock. Staff whispered, Madison gasped in horror, Chloe whimpered, and Mr. Thompson rose to his feet, his face a storm. "You endangered this entire family," he thundered. "You betrayed us, Ryan." Ryan burst into tears, his shoulders shaking. "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't think it would get this bad." But Madison's scream cut through his sobs. "You ruined us." She lunged toward him, fury blazing in her eyes. Ava shot forward, catching her arm before she reached her brother. "Madison, stop," she pleaded. "This isn't the way." But Madison wrenched free, her voice rising with rage and pain. "You destroyed everything, Ryan. You made me the villain." The kindness court was on the verge of collapse, truth turning into chaos. And in that moment, Ava realized the hardest battle wasn't against lies, it was against anger tearing the family apart. She had seconds to stop it, or the mansion would drown in its own fury. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments. I love to see how far these stories travel. And if this twist hit you hard, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. The fight for this family's soul is just beginning. Madison tore forward like a storm, her fists clenched, her hair flying loose from the bun she had pinned so carefully that morning. Ryan stumbled back, his hands raised, tears streaking his face. I said I'm sorry, he cried. But Madison's rage drowned out his voice. Before she could strike, Ava leapt between them. She caught Madison's wrist mid-air, her soaked uniform sleeve sliding against Madison's trembling arm. Enough. Ava's voice thundered louder than it ever had before, startling everyone in the hall. The room froze. Staff gasped, Chloe whimpered into Mr. Thompson's side, and Ryan collapsed into the nearest chair, sobbing. Madison's chest heaved as she struggled in Ava's grip, her eyes blazing with fire and grief. Let me go. Madison shrieked. He ruined me. He ruined all of us. Ava's gaze locked onto hers, steady, fierce, but filled with compassion. Madison, listen to me. This isn't Ryan versus you. This isn't staff versus family. This isn't even about who leaked what. This is about the poison inside your heart. And anger won't clean it. Only truth and kindness will. Madison blinked rapidly, her anger faltering for a fraction of a second. Her lip quivered, but then she spat bitterly. What do you know? You're just the maid. You don't understand what it's like to be me, to have the whole world waiting for you to mess up. A hush fell over the circle. Even Mr. Thompson, usually quick to interject, stayed silent. All eyes went to Ava. Her voice softened, though her grip remained firm. You think I don't know what it's like to be watched? Every step I take in this house, every mistake, every sigh, I felt eyes on me. I felt judgment. And I've been smaller than you can imagine, smaller than I should ever have been. The difference is I didn't have money to shield me. I only had my kindness. And that's what saved me. That's what keeps me standing. Madison's body trembled, the fight draining from her limbs. Ava gently released her wrist but didn't step back. She stayed close, her eyes never leaving Madison's. Madison, Ava whispered, look at your brother. Look at him. Do you really want to hurt him more than he's already hurt himself? Slowly Madison turned. Ryan sat hunched in the chair, his face buried in his hands, shoulders shaking with sobs. He wasn't smirking, wasn't laughing, wasn't the cocky boy who filmed her cruelty. He looked like a boy broken by guilt. Madison's knees wobbled. Her anger cracked and tears spilled over again. I hate him, she whispered, but her voice cracked. And I love him. And I don't know what to do with both. Ava finally touched her shoulder gently, grounding her. Then choose love. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The room stayed utterly still. Even the ticking clock seemed to hush. At last, Madison collapsed into sobs, sinking to her knees. Ryan looked up, stunned, then slid off his chair and crawled toward her. I'm sorry, Maddie, he choked out, wrapping his arms around her. I didn't mean to destroy everything. I was stupid. Please forgive me. Madison trembled, her arms hanging stiffly at first. Then slowly she wrapped them around her brother, clutching him as though she had almost lost him forever. Don't you ever do that again, she whispered hoarsely. Don't you ever betray us again. The staff exhaled in relief. Miss Patel wiped her eyes discreetly. The chef muttered, praise God, under his breath. Mr. Thompson stood tall, his face unreadable but his eyes glistening. This is the purpose of kindness court. Truth, even when it cuts deep, leads to healing. His gaze swept the circle. But hear me well, this is not over. Trust has been broken. It will take time to rebuild. And if it is broken again, consequences will be harsher than words. Everyone nodded silently. But just as the tension seemed to ease, Jonah's radio crackled again. His brow furrowed as he lifted it to his ear. Say again? He paused, then his eyes went wide. Sir, Jonah said slowly, your son's friend, the one who spread the story, he just posted another video online. He claims Ava is manipulating the family, trying to steal her way into your fortune. The hall erupted in gasps. Madison's head jerked up, fury flashing again. Ryan's face drained of color. Ava's heart dropped into her stomach. Mr. Thompson's eyes darkened, his voice sharp as steel. Bring me that video. And in that moment, Ava realized, the battle wasn't just inside these walls anymore. The world outside had been poisoned with lies. And unless they acted fast, the kindness she fought so hard to protect could be twisted into a weapon against her. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. And if this twist shocked you, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. The biggest storm is coming. Jonah hurried forward with a tablet in his hand, his expression grim. Sir, it's already everywhere. Social feeds, news blogs, even trending hashtags. It's spreading faster than we can contain. The staff leaned in, whispering nervously. Madison and Ryan stood frozen, pale as ghosts. Ava's chest tightened, but she held her ground. Mr. Thompson took the tablet, his face unreadable as the video began to play. The voice of Ryan's so-called friend echoed from the screen, cocky and self-assured. You all think the Thompson family is perfect? Think again. Their maid, Ava, isn't just some innocent helper. She's manipulating them. She staged the drowning. She staged the bullying. She wants sympathy so she can worm her way into the billionaire's good graces. Don't be fooled, she's after the fortune. The video cut to shaky images of the pool, grainy footage likely stolen from Ryan's texts or a hacked security feed. The angle showed Ava pulling Ryan out of the water, but the narration twisted it. See? Look at her holding him down first. Look at how she plays the hero after. Classic setup. You watch, next she'll be running this mansion. The video ended with the words splashed across the screen, the maid who wants to be queen. The hall fell silent. Every pair of eyes turned to Ava. Madison's voice was the first to break through. See? I knew it. I knew this would happen. She's making fools of us all. Her voice shook, part anger, part fear. No. Ryan burst out, stepping forward. That's not true. I saw it, I was drowning. She saved me. He looked desperately at his father. Dad, please, you know it's a lie. But Mr. Thompson's face stayed hard, his mind calculating. He turned to Ava, his voice low but dangerous. Did you send him anything? Did you work with this boy? Ava's heart pounded. She shook her head firmly. Never. I would never betray this house. I didn't even know he existed until Ryan told us today. Sir, you know my heart. You've seen it. Please, don't let lies blind you. The staff murmured support. Miss Patel stepped forward, her voice steady. Sir, I've seen Ava for years. She has never once sought anything but to serve with kindness. Jonah added, the footage is doctored. I'll bet my badge on it. But doubt hung heavy. Madison crossed her arms, her face flushed. Maybe she fooled you too. Maybe she fooled all of us. Ryan rounded on her. Maddie, she just saved my life. How can you say that? Because this video is out there. Madison snapped, her eyes darting nervously to her father. People will believe it, Ryan. They'll believe it more than they'll believe us. Ava stood in the middle of the storm, the lies like arrows piercing from every side. Her voice wavered but held steady. Then let me face them. Let me face the world myself. Gasps filled the hall. Chloe clutched Ava's hand tightly, her tiny voice trembling. No, Ava, don't go. They'll be mean to you. Ava knelt and kissed her forehead softly. Sweetheart, sometimes you have to stand in the fire to prove the truth is stronger than flames. Mr. Thompson's eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting? Ava rose, her wet uniform now drying into stiff wrinkles, her chin lifted. A press conference. Tomorrow morning. Out in the open. No hiding, no whispers. I'll tell them the truth with my own mouth. I'll look them in the eyes and they'll see who I am. Not who they say I am. Madison's jaw dropped. That's suicide. They'll eat you alive. Or they'll hear the truth and see through the lies, Ava replied calmly. Mr. Thompson studied her for a long, heavy moment. His eyes searched her face, looking for weakness, for deceit, for anything false. But all he found was steady courage. Finally he nodded. Very well. Tomorrow morning. The gates will open and you'll have your say. But understand this, Ava, if the world doesn't believe you, I won't be able to protect you. Ava's breath caught. She knew the risk. If the press spun her words, she could lose not only her job but her freedom, her reputation, her future. But she also knew silence would be worse. She bowed her head once. I understand. And I accept. Ryan stepped forward, panic flashing across his face. Dad, we can't just throw her to the wolves. She's not being thrown, Ava interrupted gently. I'm stepping forward. The hall fell silent. Everyone felt the weight of her words. Then Chloe whispered, I'll stand with you, Ava. Ava's heart swelled painfully, but she shook her head. No, Chloe. This is my fight. Yours is to keep believing in kindness. Madison looked away, her face conflicted, anger and fear warring with something softer she didn't want to admit. As the household slowly dispersed, preparing for the storm of the next day, Ava lingered in the empty hall. She pressed her palm against her chest, steadying her heartbeat. Tomorrow the world would decide whether she was a hero or a fraud. And as the moonlight streamed through the tall windows, Ava whispered to herself, "Let the truth be enough." But in the shadows of the hall, a figure lingered, one of the staff who had stayed silent during Kindness Court. Their eyes glinted, and in their pocket, a phone buzzed with a message from the outside. "Good. Tomorrow will be her end. Keep recording." The betrayal ran deeper than Ava imagined. Where are you watching from? Drop your city/country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. And if this twist gave you chills, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Tomorrow's storm will change everything. The dawn of the next morning broke over the Thompson estate with a heaviness that seemed to press on every stone of the mansion. The sky was pale gray, the air thick, and even the birds outside sang cautiously, as if they sensed the storm waiting at the gates. Ava stood in front of her small mirror, tying her hair back into a neat bun. Her maid's uniform was freshly pressed, though she could see faint water stains that refused to leave after yesterday's chaos. She touched the wrinkles lightly, almost as if they were scars, marks of truth she would carry openly. Her reflection stared back at her, tired eyes, yes, but eyes that glowed with quiet fire. "Let the truth be enough," she whispered again, her voice steadier this time. Downstairs, the mansion buzzed like a hive. Reporters were already gathering at the gates, their cameras flashing, microphones pressed against the iron bars. Security formed lines, their radios crackling. Staff whispered nervously in corners, glancing at Ava as she passed, some with pity, some with admiration. Mr. Thompson waited in the grand foyer, dressed sharply in a dark suit. He looked every bit the billionaire CEO, controlled, calculated, but there was a shadow in his eyes, as though he feared even his wealth and power wouldn't be enough to contain what was coming. Madison lingered near the staircase, arms crossed, her face pale. Ryan sat on the bottom step, hands clasped, looking like he hadn't slept at all. Chloe clung to her nanny, peeking around her skirt, eyes wide. When Ava entered, the room quieted. Mr. Thompson's gaze swept over her. "Are you ready?" Ava nodded once. "Yes." Madison's voice cracked suddenly. "You don't have to do this." Ava turned to her, surprised. Madison's arms were still folded, but her lip trembled. "If they tear you apart out there, it won't fix anything. It'll just make everything worse." Ava softened. "Madison, yesterday you chose truth. Don't let fear undo it today. This is not just for me. It's for all of us. For kindness to mean something, it has to be seen." Madison looked away, unable to answer. Mr. Thompson stepped forward. "We'll do this properly. The press conference will be on the front lawn. Jonah has the podium ready. You'll speak, Ava, and then if anyone else chooses to, they may. But once you're finished, that's it. No shouting matches. No more chaos." "Understood," Ava said quietly. The heavy wooden doors opened, and a wave of noise crashed in, shouts, camera clicks, the buzz of live feeds. The family and staff walked out together, forming a united front. The manicured lawn stretched before them, but the iron gates were lined with reporters, drones buzzing overhead like angry bees. Jonah guided Ava to the podium, adjusting the microphone. "Stay calm," he muttered. "They'll try to rattle you." Ava gave him a grateful nod. She stepped up. For a heartbeat, the crowd didn't hush. Reporters shouted questions, cameras zoomed, the world seemed to roar. But Ava lifted her hand, calm and steady, and slowly, impossibly, the noise began to fade. Her voice, when it came, was clear as a bell. "My name is Ava. I am the maid in this house. And yes, you've heard many things about me these last 24 hours. That I staged an accident. That I'm manipulating this family. That I want to steal what isn't mine." She paused, letting the murmurs ripple, then continued. "Here is the truth. I'm not perfect. I'm not rich. I'm not powerful. But I am kind. And kindness is not weakness. It is strength. When Ryan fell into the pool, I didn't think of myself. I didn't think of blame. I only thought, save him. That is who I am. That is what I do." The reporters leaned in. Some scribbled notes faster. Others just watched, captivated. Ava's voice grew stronger. "Yes, there was bullying in this house. Yes, it was cruel. But yesterday, for the first time, those who bullied admitted the truth. They began to change. If children can learn that cruelty is not power, then maybe the world can too. That is the story you should tell. Not about scandal, not about money, but about transformation." The crowd stirred. Some nodded. Some frowned. But Ava's calm, unwavering presence made it harder to dismiss her words as lies. Then, just as hope flickered in the air, another voice sliced through the silence. Lies. Every head snapped toward the side fence. A figure stepped into view, Ryan's so-called friend, the boy who had spread the story. He was no older than Ryan, but his phone was raised like a weapon, streaming live. She's fooling you all, he shouted. She's got the billionaire wrapped around her finger. She's got his kids calling her family. Next, she'll marry him and take the empire. Open your eyes. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Reporters scrambled toward him, microphones raised. Cameras spun from Ava to the boy. Madison went pale. Ryan's fists clenched. Mr. Thompson's face hardened, fury barely contained. Ava's heart raced, but she didn't flinch. She stepped away from the podium, walking slowly toward the boy. The cameras followed every step. When she reached the fence, she looked at him, not with anger, not with fear, but with quiet, steady eyes. Why? She asked softly. Why do this? The boy sneered, though his voice wavered. Because people love dirt. And I wanted to be the one who gave it to them. Fame. Followers. Attention. No one cares about kindness. They care about scandal. And you gave me the perfect story. His words slashed through the air, feeding the crowd's hunger. Reporters scribbled faster. Drones hovered lower. And then from behind Ava, a new voice rang out, clear, shaky, but bold. Enough. It was Madison. She stepped forward, her hands trembling, her face flushed, but her eyes unflinching. She walked to the podium, pushing past her father and brother, and gripped the microphone. This boy is lying. Ava didn't manipulate us. She didn't stage anything. The truth is, I bullied her. I was jealous of her beauty, her kindness, everything she is. And she never once fought back. She never once told my father. She loved us even when we didn't deserve it. Yesterday she saved my brother's life. And last night she saved mine. The crowd gasped. Reporters froze. The boy at the fence faltered, his smug expression cracking. Madison's voice broke, but she pressed on. So if you want a headline, here it is. The maid who taught a billionaire's children what kindness really means. That's the truth. And I dare anyone to twist it. Silence fell. Even the drones seemed to hover more quietly. Ava turned, tears welling, her chest swelling with something she hadn't expected. Hope. But as the moment hung fragile in the morning air, the boy at the fence lifted his phone again, his face hardening. Then let's see if kindness still saves you, he spat. Because I have more videos. And the next one will ruin you all. The crowd erupted again, shouting, flashing, buzzing like a swarm. The fragile piece teetered on the edge of collapse. Where are you watching from? Drop your city/country in the comments. I love seeing the reach of these stories. If this twist had your heart racing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. The final chapter will reveal everything. The crowd roared like a restless ocean. Reporters pressed against the gates, their microphones jutting forward like spears. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every flicker of expression on Ava's face, every tremor in Madison's voice, every bead of sweat on Mr. Thompson's brow. The boy at the fence sneered, his phone raised high. You think this is over? You think your little speech makes you saints? No. I have the proof that will burn this house down. Watch. He tapped his screen, and instantly, a new video began streaming onto his live feed. Dozens of reporters raised their own phones to record it. The footage was shaky but damning. Ava in the kitchen late at night, standing near the safe where household documents were stored. Her hand lingered on the keypad. She glanced over her shoulder before the screen cut to black. Gasps filled the air. She's stealing, a reporter shouted. She's after the fortune, another cried. Madison's hands flew to her mouth. Ryan shook his head wildly. No, that's not what happened. That's not real. The boy shouted above the noise, his voice full of triumph. See? She's not just a maid, she's a thief in disguise. And you all almost fell for it. The crowd erupted into chaos. Questions flew like arrows. Mr. Thompson, do you deny this? Ava, what were you doing at the safe? Is this the end of the Thompson legacy? Ava's heart pounded, but she didn't shrink. She stepped back to the podium, lifted her chin, and faced the mob head-on. That video is real, she said firmly. The crowd hushed, stunned by her admission. Even Mr. Thompson's eyes widened, his breath catching. Yes, Ava continued, her voice steady. I was near the safe that night. But not to steal. I was cleaning the kitchen like I do every evening. And when I saw the safe light blinking red, I checked it. Because I cared about protecting this house. I never touched a coin. I never took a paper. Ask anyone here, I have never stolen in my life. Her words hung in the air, unshaken by the storm of accusations. The boy laughed bitterly. Convenient excuse. Do you have proof? Yes, a new voice called out. Everyone turned. Miss Patel, the house manager, stepped forward, clutching her clipboard to her chest. I was there. I saw her. She was wiping the counters and noticed the safe light. She called me over. I checked it myself. There was no theft. She was protecting us, not robbing us. The staff murmured agreement. The chef raised his flour-dusted hand. She's right. Ava has never stolen, not even an apple. The crowd stirred, doubt creeping back toward the boy. He faltered, his smirk slipping. But Mr. Thompson wasn't done. He stepped forward, his voice carrying like a hammer. Enough. This ends now. He turned to Jonah. Pull the security logs from that night. Every angle, every second. Show the world the truth. Within minutes, Jonah streamed the footage onto a massive screen pulled to the front lawn for emergencies. The cameras caught it live. Ava wiping the counters, noticing the blinking light, bending to inspect it, then stepping back and calling Miss Patel. Not once did her fingers touch the keypad. Not once did she steal. The crowd erupted, not with accusations now but with applause. Reporters shouted. She saved the family safe. Billionaire Maid proves innocence. The power of kindness. The boy at the fence paled. His phone shook in his hand. No, this can't be. Jonah strode forward, 2 guards at his side. That's enough, kid. You're coming with us. They seized his phone, cutting off the live feed. The boy shouted protests, but the crowd drowned him out with cheers for Ava. Mr. Thompson stepped up to the podium, his hand firm on Ava's shoulder. His voice boomed, "This woman is no thief. She is no manipulator. She is the reason my son is alive, the reason my daughter is learning humility, and the reason my family is standing here today. From this moment forward, Ava is not just our maid. She is part of this family. And anyone who says otherwise will answer to me." The cheers grew louder. Reporters shouted new headlines, cameras flashing like fireworks. Ava's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled, soft, humble, radiant. Madison stepped forward, tears streaming, and hugged her tightly. "I was wrong about you," she whispered. "So wrong. Please forgive me." "I already did," Ava whispered back. Ryan joined, pulling them both into a trembling embrace. Chloe rushed in too, wrapping her small arms around Ava's waist. For the first time in months, maybe years, the Thompson family stood united, because of the maid they had once despised. As the sun finally broke through the gray sky, spilling golden light across the lawn, Ava closed her eyes and whispered a prayer of gratitude. The world now knew her truth. And no lie, no betrayal, no storm could erase it. Because kindness had won. Thank you for following this modern folktale. Where are you watching from? Drop your city/country in the comments. I'd love to shout you out in the next story. And if this ending inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. More tales of truth and kindness are on the way.